Namaste, welcome back, friends. So we are now into the third session. And in the third session, we will discuss more about the subtle body and the causal body. And we'll try to make very clear understanding of these. So what is yoga? That I have already told you, but I can just tell you what yoga can do. In Bhagavad-Gita, in my understanding, the best texts for yoga science are Bhagavad-Gita and Yoga Sutras. Actually, Yoga Sutras are the essence of Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita has been narrated in a battlefield when it was a fight between two families. And in that context, the entire narration is there. But it has a lot of real science in it and very high science. The science of this body and what all goes on in this body. So Yoga Sutras, Patanjali Maharaj have taken out this essence and he has put aside the context. And in the Yoga Sutras, just an individual human being, what is an individual human being's total existence? There is no context to which religion you are, which nationality you are, what are your profession, this, that, no. Basic thing is what is an individual, who is an individual, how will we understand? This is what it is. So therefore, in this session, let's discuss a little bit about the subtle body. So I told you the subtle body is how our senses work. So we already know we have these 10 senses, 5 senses of perception. या ज्ञानेंद्रियां जो बोली जाती हैं. So the eyes, the ears, nostrils, the tongue for taste, and the skin for touch. So these are our 5 senses of perception. And then the 5 sense organs, I will say, of action. And these are first the speech. We use through the mouth. The speech is our action. Why? We are communicating. Hands perform action. Then legs give us mobility. Then we have the sexual organ and our excretory organ, the anus. So these are the 5 action places through which different actions are taking place. So we say total 10 senses. And then mind is the supervisor. So mind is supervising the 10 senses. If mind is not free, for example, you are eating, but you are busy watching the television and your serial which you like the most. So I have seen people so glued and they have put the food in the mouth and now they are watching. And after a few minutes, they will realize they have food in the mouth and they will chew and just swallow it. So this is where things are going wrong. The eating process, which is a highly designed process, it is perfect process. The mind has to be 100% engaged in eating. But if you have made your mind busy elsewhere, then the secretions of the juices, saliva, etc., everything stops because mind is engaged there and the brain cannot talk to the body. So this is how we have to understand our subtle body. Subtle body, that these instrumentations in this body, which are allowing the owner of the body to take work out of the body. So mind we need to understand. And the best way to understand mind is like computer. I'm looking at the monitor. You work on the computers. You are constantly watching the monitor, but your fingers are running on the keyboard. So constantly looking at the monitor, and if you have your fingers habitual, then you are typing there. So what is the monitor doing? Just showing what is the input. So likewise, these 10 senses that we have, this is our keyboard. So through these 10 senses, the mind is receiving inputs. And Our intellect is constantly in touch with the mind. So intellect is constantly knowing what is the input, and intellect then connects it to the hard disk. So just like in the computer, the moment you have put your input, you say enter, and it goes to the processor. Processor takes it to the hard disk, where you have the software which will deal with it and the data required for processing it. So likewise, our mind is the monitor, and this buddhi, what is called the intellect, is the processor, and this brain memory, the chitta, is the hard disk. And what kind of software depends what kind of knowledge you are gaining. For example, you have complete knowledge of your field. Suppose you are an engineer, and engineering also, whichever field you are. So you have complete knowledge of that field. But what about the other fields? Because you are not dealing with them, so you have no necessity of dealing with it. But this body is being used 100%, 24 hours and 7 days a week. And yet, how much knowledge do we have of the body? So this is the folly of today. This is the kind of ignorance in which we are living, that we are educating our students. You are all educators, and you are giving education to the students in the respective fields, whichever field you are professor. But the basic thing that you should know, that which is your machine, which is doing this, and that machine is this body. I told you, body and owner of body. So owner of body is only giving directions to this body, but this body is performing all the tasks. So we should have good knowledge about the health of this body. So therefore, in Ayurveda, so for this physical body, this Ayurveda is the science. And because I had told you, yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sarirasya cha vaidyakena. So if you generally, stay ill, if you have migraine, if you have high blood pressure, you are unable to perform your full capacity, your productivity is low. So how can we improve the health? By gaining knowledge about this. And this yoga and Ayurveda are the sciences that are giving us complete mastery over this body. So generally these days you are doing some yoga asanas, and I saw in your program what is for this ailment, which asana will we do, for cardiac problem, what asana will we do, for immunity improvement, which asana can we do. There is nothing like this. And I'm telling you this fact. There is nothing like this. The health depends, I have already told you in the previous session, food and breath. And now, what is main is this subtle body. How much knowledge do you have of this subtle body? How this food is getting processed? How all your fat, bone marrow, and the aura, your energy field that is giving you a protection, kavach. That energy field is your immunity. How will you understand this? It doesn't happen by asanas. No, it doesn't happen only by taking some Chyawanprash or this or that. No. So therefore, yoga and Ayurveda sciences are the knowledge. And this knowledge is very evolved, highly evolved. I have had these sessions with, medical professionals, not just in India, but overseas. And they're amazed because they say, we don't know so much about mind as you are explaining. We don't know so much about this brain, the memory plane, which you are explaining. We don't know the identity of I. Who is I? How is the I placed in this body? Where is the I? They have no idea. And they are simply dealing with the physical body. So I generally, sometimes I joke with my medical friends, especially the allopathy friends. that, look, your science was developed by dissecting dead bodies. They did not work on alive bodies, because on dead bodies are not reacting. So you don't know how the person will respond to your treatment. But when you are treating a alive body, you have to first know the person's nature. In Ayurveda, first thing they want to find out, what is the nature? What kind of nature your body has? And according to the nature of the body, the individual living in the body gains that nature, and therefore, accordingly, your treatment is decided how it will progress. So therefore, in your practice, we will be working more on breath, on physical posture, and depending on each executive who is in which profession and what kind of physical environment the person has for his work and so on, accordingly the person has to decide what kind of physical activities the person needs. But every executive is involved more with the mental and the intellectual abilities, and therefore how to sharpen the intellectual abilities. And the sharpening of the intellectual abilities is the field of yoga. And since you are professors, teachers, you are giving education to students who are yet to develop these faculties. So if you can empower yourself with this deep knowledge, then I'm sure you can empower your students. You can actually help those students who are not able to follow the lectures, who are unable to understand your lectures. So you have to then see, how will you make this student understand? Because the intelligent students can, through their intellectual ability, grasp, but not so intelligent student will take time. We will need to explain different ways, the same thing, but in several ways. For example, I gave you this example of the computer for explaining the mind, that the monitor is the mind, senses, the keyboard are the senses that is giving input, the processor in the computer, that is my intellect, the hard disk in the computer, that is my brain, and the software loaded, that's my knowledge that I'm gaining, the data, my experiences. So this is how we can tell students, and they really understand this well, because they are handling, they have mobiles these days, smart mobiles. Or the other way, a simple way, a horse rider. Riding a horse, the horse is an intelligent animal. And a horse can easily make out whether you are a good rider or you are a not good rider. The way you mount the horse will know whether you are mounting first time or you are a trained rider. If you are a trained rider, the horse will be tame, and it will wait for your signals, how you use the rein, and accordingly the horse will start performing. But if you are a learner, the horse will immediately get you down. I'm telling you this out of experience, because when I joined my service and we were taken for horse riding, and first time I rode a horse, and the moment I sat, I mean, the trainers got us on the horse, and the moment he took a step back, horse ran. And I kept pulling the rein, and this horse would not stop. I think the horse must have trotted for about, not trotted, but galloped for about 100 meters. And I was using all my force. I'm actually a very strong physical person. And ultimately, I could maintain that, pull, constant pull. The horse was trying to tire me out and get me down. But I maintained my this pull on the horse, and ultimately it stopped, and then it turned and it walked back. So this is how it is. So we say the horse, we can compare the horse with our senses. So our senses are constantly pushing us into different, activities. But we should have the rider. Who is the rider? That's the I. So I should have the owner of this body. The owner of the body needs to have good knowledge and use that knowledge, empower the intellect. And the intellect then exercises the control over the senses, over the mind, and through the mind on the senses. So if you go to Bhagavad-Gita, and if you take the 2nd chapter, and if you can start from 39th verse to the end, the last 72nd verse, there are 72 verses, but if you can just limit from 39th and even say from 47th, if you can from 47th to 56, 20 verses. If you can, only 10 verses. If you can take these 10 verses, these will give you a beautiful explanation of what is senses, how senses create desire, how mind becomes dynamic because of the desires, and then how the intellectual abilities are brought in. So Arjun asked this question, Sthit pragyasika bhasha samadhistasya keshava. He's asking, who is a person of a stable mind? And then Krishna replies, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parth manogatan. So Krishna is saying, whenever a person can give up the desires, which desires? Sarvan parth manogatan, all those desires that appear on his mind. So mind doesn't create desires. Desires are created either by the senses or by our this chitta, where our previous experiences are recorded. So whenever we want to go out for dining, and immediately if you have children, they say, no, we'll go to that. Why? Because you have been there before and the children enjoyed. It is recorded here. And out of that experience, the child immediately says, no, Papa, let's go there. Or let mommy, no, we'll go there. So this is what is desire and how the desire from your chitta. So our mind gets diverted either because of the senses, new inputs, or the inputs that are already you have experienced, and on that basis our desires come. So when we are able to follow this, then we know how this subtle body is operating and how the knowledge, the more knowledge we gain about it, the more we'll be able to balance ourselves. So for an executive, balance in action is very important. Maintaining balance. You shouldn't be hyper, you shouldn't be hypo. You should be in balance. So this balance through yoga, it will not come through physical postures. No. All this will happen through this intellectual, the subtle body's work. And this is what comes mostly through pranayam and meditation. The breathing process, of course, is very useful. And in our programs, we have designed it so beautifully that we are able to give you in about 50 hours complete authority so that you will never have any health issues, and also mentally you are very alert, and intellectually you are always in balance, and you are able to think creatively. So all this, how it happens, we will take it in our last session. And the work for this session, please do study those verses. Bhagavad-Gita 2nd chapter from 47 to 56, and try to exactly experience in your own practice how senses can be brought under control by exercising your intellectual abilities. So this is your main, and also you can use the breathing part, that how through breathing you can see how much fire can be ignited in the body. And through the fire, all the metabolism in the body takes place, and it can free you from migraine, from diabetes, from hypertension, all these things. Just this brisk breathing, deep breathing, and exercising body joints. And we'll try to this time understand our own identity. That will be our final goal. But before that, let me just use this one single verse. I like it. Second chapter, the last 56th verse. Dukhesu dignamanaha, sukhesu vigat spraha, vitrag bhai krodha, sthir muniruchyate. So what it says, that dukhesu dignamanaha, that this person doesn't get exercised in sufferings. We all get sufferings. We all have tough times. But we should know that tough times will come and we need to face them. So there is no point in suffering. So you need to empower yourself with the knowledge that can reduce your suffering. At least this suffering will not destabilize your thought process. So problem comes when the crisis situations disable our right thinking, balanced thinking. And the second is sukheshu vigat spraha. The person doesn't long for good times. So normally this is our tendency. We are always looking for good times and we don't want bad times. But it doesn't happen that way. There will always be good times and there will always be bad times. And therefore, we should learn to stay in balance. That in bad times, we are able to, face them, and we are able to, in a very objective way, find ways out of getting that problem, getting that crisis situation. And the second, that we are not looking for good times. That doesn't mean we don't want. Yes, good times will come, but we don't get carried away by good times. That in good times, we lose our identity. We forget that we can again get back to bad times again. So therefore, it is always good that we maintain a balance. And then vitrag bhai krodha. If we can get rid of this rag, attachment, getting too close to things, to possessions, to relationships, and bhai, fear, and krodh, anger. So this too much attachment, if we have, we are trying to wherever, in family, we are always having soft corner for our children. We try to kind of give them safety, security margin, safety margin, and so on. So in actual practice, during younger days, in fact, during childhood, we should actually train children with a lot of discipline. If you see overseas, I was seeing a video from Japan that children there, even an infant, like 1 year, 2 years, they are made to be independent. And I saw them, and in the video, it was said that in Japan, no parents walk their children to school. Even the child who is going in the play school, 3 years old, is going on his own or on her own. And I saw those small kids, they are coming at the zebra crossing, they stand there and the vehicles stop, they cross the road, they turn back and go to the vehicles which stopped, and then they move along. In the school, they are doing their own cleaning, they are washing their own dishes. So it was said in the video that in Japan, the discipline and this idea of thanking, of being grateful. So these are the things that yoga concentrates on. These bhavanas emotions, feelings. So therefore, how to nurture these? So all these are nurtured in this subtle plane about which we have talked. And so now we come to who am I? And I will give you a very simple example. Normally, you may think it's a very stupid question, who am I? And many times I ask this question, have you seen your face? And I'm asking you now, as you are listening to me, have you seen your face? And your answer will be yes. And then I will say, okay, try to see your face now. And you will say, no, I need a mirror. So actually, I haven't seen my face. It happened to me once. I was in meditation, and it was a long meditation. I was, just as I was about to come out from meditation, a thought appeared on the mind, and it said, today you had a great meditation. And the moment this thought came, immediately another question came, what is good meditation? And the moment this question came, answers started coming. Is it that your face is shining? Is it that you have a large aura around you? Is it that you are like a god just now? And this kind of thing. So whatever my ideas of a good meditation. And then I was still wondering, how will I explain to my friends that I had a good meditation? And then a push came, why don't you open your eyes and see for yourself? And I opened my eyes, I moved my eyeballs like this, and I was little dazed. And because I was unable to see anything, I couldn't see my face, and seeing around it was out of question. And for a few moments, I was wondering, what is happening? Am I awake? Am I in senses? Or I'm pagal ho gaye, mad, gone mad. And then suddenly this realization came, but there is no mirror. And the moment this realization came that there is no mirror, I said, my God, I have never seen my face. And only by looking at the mirror image, I conclude this is how I appear. And as a person who has done physics in my master's degree, immediately I came that a mirror image carries all the deficiencies of the mirror. And looking at the deficient image, I'm looking at the real image. And now I am doing my makeup. I want to enhance my appearance by looking at a faulty image, image which is defaulted by the mirror. Then immediately the thought came, I have a real face. It is not that it is imaginary. It's a real face. My eyes can't show me my face. How will I see my soul? And what am I doing in meditation? What is meditation for? Is it to connect with God? Then who is God? Is it to connect the soul? Where is the soul? You can't even see your face. How will you see your soul which doesn't have a face? So all this is still in meditation going on. And then suddenly this idea came, maybe just as you need a mirror for seeing the face, maybe there is a mirror, imaginary mirror, like the imaginary soul, through which the soul can be experienced. And immediately I could recall that in Bhagavad-Gita, in the 6th chapter, this word Chittatma is introduced. Chittatma, I think 11th verse. And don't exactly remember. So Chitta, as you know, is my memory plane, and Atma is here in the lotus heart. So Chittatma, so I said, okay, this Chitta is the mirror. And now this soul is reflecting, and so it has become Chittatma. And that day I could figure out, all right, now this is the I. And this I has all the understandings of my Chitta. So just as the reflected image is carrying all the qualities of the mirror, so likewise, this reflected soul, which is complete in itself, it is all knowledgeable. There is no difference between the knowledge of God and the knowledge of my soul. same. It's just like there is no difference between the drop from the seawater and seawater. The drop from the seawater has the same qualities as the water in the sea. So likewise, God and soul. So therefore, this soul is the pure knowledge, the vast knowledge of the Vedic sciences. And this person here carrying only this knowledge. Why? Because this knowledge has been covered by this my knowledge. So this is how, when my knowledge gets superimposed over the soul, it becomes the I. So now you can understand you have two entities. One who is not active. It is always in passive mode, but it is aware. So soul is Chetan. Without telling it, it knows everything. And this reflected image, the Chittatma, is functioning, is active as per my own desires. So my understanding is creating desires, and this is how we become active, we become actors. So now meditation. So what happens in meditation? Meditation, if you are told, okay, now we are sitting for meditation, so do not let your worries impact your mind, or set aside your worries for a while. If you have your worries for a while, why will you meditate? My question is very simple. People meditate because they are stressed. Now, meditation is used for stress management. So therefore, if I have the ability to keep aside my stress, why will I come to the meditation class? So I'm coming to the meditation class so that in the meditation class, I can put the body to rest. When I put the body to rest, my senses go to rest, so there is no fresh input. And the moment my mind connects with the memory plane, it starts showing all those things that are in active mode. Normally, the chitta, the memory plane, is carrying vast experiences, vast record. Like from the age of 5 or 6 years, from the time we start recognizing cognition, from the time a child starts cogniting things, making cognition of things, from that time onwards, the data is all stored here. But a lot of it is just dormant. It is in the base. And the active is only the recent that is causing either the joys or the sufferings. So this, whatever the things are in active mode, they all start showing up on the mind. And now I'm sitting as a spectator. So this is a beautiful thing to understand, that meditation is the time when the person gets transported from his action role to a spectator role. So for example, a simple example, a painter. A painter takes months or years to visualize what the painter wants to paint and what message the painter wants to give. And once the painter is finally ready, he has made or she has made sketches, etc., and it's very clear that this is what my thing will be, and it is ready now. Now it is ready, and the ready painting is hung on the wall. And the painter still keeps gazing on that painting. He may again start feeling, maybe if I had done not like this thing I have moved there, maybe here if I had put this color and not this color, maybe it would give a better. So this reviewing your own action is what is called the becoming spectator. That now you have become a spectator of your own karma phala. In Bhagavad-Gita, you will hear these two words, karma and karma phala, action and action result. So for an executive, this is the main. What action? So how to decide what action I'm going to take, how to take a sound decision about which action we will take. And then what is the result? Was it as per our expectations? And if it didn't happen that way, then what went wrong, and so on. So therefore, meditation is now this process where we are, whatever we have done, everything is recorded in the chitta. And the moment I quieten myself and I move out myself from the doer position to the spectator position, and this happens very naturally. If you come to our sessions, we will show you in a minute, you will be transported to this spectator state, and you will be seeing the whole scenes or listening to whatever, it depends, and you yourself will start then debating with yourself. So now, because I'm in a spectator state, I'm detached from my thought process. So therefore, this mirror I'm not recognizing, and I'm now directly with my soul. And my soul is all empowered. It has all the knowledge. So in meditation, you will start getting promptings from here because you are now in company of this soul. So meditation is the process where the active state of the person is brought face to face with his reality. So therefore, the virtual world that we are living and the real world that gives us balance, that tells us what is going to be the reality, what is going to happen ultimately, all that. So through meditation, we can actually resolve a lot of issues. So for an executive, this is the main thing, because if the higher position you have, the more time you need for this. Because if you can find time in the morning, every morning you must not fail to extract half an hour, 1 hour. The more you extract time, the more you will be free during your whole day. Why? Because you will be clear about what to do, how to do, which person will do what task. So in your meditation of 5-10 minutes, you would have seen the entire day's things. And then during the process, you will find if there are any adjustments to be made. So this is how meditation is not getting lost in any unknown world, finding any God and so on. No. What is God? Knowledge is God. And knowledge, not of the material world, knowledge of the entire universe. So this is how we have to see Vedic sciences. So Vedic sciences are universal. They are Sanatan. And if you can understand yoga science like this, where we are not discussing any religion, I haven't talked of any Hinduism or anything. I have just talked individual, human being, what is going on. Birth cannot decide my religion. My religion will be decided by my understandings, by my actions. So therefore, it depends what Gandhiji used to say, that there is good in every religion. Why can't we pick all the good from every religion and set aside what is not good? So therefore, we should look at religion with a different lens altogether. You know, all this talk of, today somebody had sent me a message about why should there be this caste Garna, the census, caste-based census and so on. So this is the kind of division which is taking us into difficult situations where we are getting away from each other, whereas yoga is bringing us together. So pain is the same in everybody. A poor person is a poor person. The the birth doesn't decide that what will be the quality of the person. The person's own actions decide what kind of quality that person will be. So therefore, through yoga science for the executives, because the executives are in a position where they are able to influence many more people. Many more people listen to them. The higher they are, they will be trusted more, they will be listened more. And that's why this knowledge, the yoga science from Vedic, entire Vedic knowledge, this is the essence, this is the applicable, practical knowledge which we should have, through which we should be working. How can we have good team membership in the team? How can be there good harmony between all the members of the team? So this teamwork, all these feelings, they come through this greater understanding of yoga science. And if executive is fully aware of all this, if the person is fully aware what goes on, how the person is in a better shape, in a better mood, how the mood gets bad, how much hurt the person feels if somebody else says something, and so on. And the same thing we need to apply on others, the same way the others feel. What is said, do not do to others what you don't want them to do to you. So all this, and in every religion, I have seen it. I have been in my job to all kinds of cultures and religious groups, and I have seen the teachings are all good, the basic teachings, but it's only the interpretations that are being made these days to serve their own limited purposes. That is what is causing all these misunderstandings. And as educators who are constantly in touch with the youth, if you can empower youth, if our universities can be the breeding grounds of balanced persons who can understand everybody, even the enemy we should be able to understand well. Even we could think good and well for our enemies, means who do not want good for us, kind of thing. So that kind of approach, if we can give to our youth, this younger generation that is going to take over as they come into their full active life, then as we want our country to become the Yoga Guru, the Jagat Guru. So knowledge alone can make that. And we already know that today knowledge is capital. It's only in the 90s decade. Before that, we were always starved for capital. But in the 19 decades, when knowledge became a big capital, the biggest capital, so to say. And since then, since the 90s, when knowledge started gaining the higher position, where you did not need a lot of infrastructure, and without that infrastructure, the artificial intelligence was available, and where we were excelling, we have been able to manage quite high. And now if we can bring this further, unity and coordinated effort, harmonious effort, I'm sure we can definitely provide that leadership. So with those good wishes, I thank you very much for being listeners to this class, and I hope it has helped. If you will like, you are most welcome to visit our ashram in Kashipur, and we run these programs, and my purpose is really to empower youth with this knowledge. Thank you.